Welcome to the first episode of Emotionally Yours with Let's Talk, where we dive into what truly matters for your emotional well-being. Today's topic is something many of us silently battle: burnout. Whether you're a working professional, a parent, a homemaker, a student, a caregiver, or just someone who feels constantly tired and emotionally drained, this episode is for you. We are joined today by two wonderful experts in the field of psychology, Ms. Preetee and Dr. Juhi, who will help us understand burnout and how we can begin to heal from it. Hi, Preetee and Juhi. Welcome. So let me start the session by asking the two of you a very basic question. What is burnout?
Burnout, I think, is not just about feeling tired. It's about the depletion of your emotional, mental, and physical resources. Just imagine if you are out of gas, if you don't have petrol in your car, and somebody asks you to keep driving, it feels like that. You want to go, but you can't. And when we run out of our resources, we are unable to deal with the life stresses.
Exactly. It's your mind and body's way of saying, I need help. Look at me. It is more emotional in nature and not really to be understood as a sign of weakness. The more we ignore it, the louder it gets.
Yeah, so true. So it seems to be fairly widespread as well. According to Deloitte survey, 77% of Indian professionals have experienced burnout at their current jobs. Just think about a marketing executive working 12 hours a day, constantly checking emails even on weekends, find herself unable to sleep or focus. That's not just tiredness, that's burnout. So I have brought some questions, so which brings me for my the next question, that is, are there different kind of burnout?
Yes, definitely. Burnout can come in different types. Like if you feel overloaded, constantly working, giving too much, to any one area of your life. It can be your work area, it can be house. And then if you're feeling under challenged, that also can be a reason when you're feeling monotonous. You're not feeling that adrenaline rush, so to say you know then another way is feeling worn out, when you're feeling very helpless and disengaged, when you have more in your plate than you can chew. Then there is one thing, that is when you're misaligned, when your values are misaligned with what you are supposed to do, either at home or either at workplace. These are the different phases of the same burnout.
Sure. And knowing your type of burnout actually helps you understand where to begin healing exactly.
But it really seems like we have ignored burnout for far too long. WHO has actually declared burnout as a global workplace phenomenon, and it's no longer something that we can afford to ignore. Even a stay-at-home parent doing repetitive chores with no appreciation may feel under-challenged or even misaligned. So that's burnout too. It would be really helpful to understand uh, what causes burnout.
Yeah, so like we already mentioned that excessive workload, which is very obvious, which all of us know that excessive workload can lead to it. Another, if we have no control over decisions, we have a lot of responsibility but no power, you know. Then lack of recognition. If we are doing things but people are demeaning it, like yeah, they are not recognizing our efforts. And also emotional isolation, when you feel that you're alone with your problems, there's nobody to support you. And unfair expectations by people. Sometimes people put unrealistic expectations, and then they judge you if you're not able to meet them, so that can also lead to the world to this.
Yes. And added to that, peer pressure and unrealistic demands from your own self, which you place on yourself. And you have the perfect recipe for a slow emotional erosion.
Yeah, really, it's scary to think, Preeti. But in fact, I have a fact that in India, 59% of employees says that they are always on contributing to emotional fatigue. Apart from this, if I give an example, a young entrepreneur juggling multiple roles without support and working late into night eventually hits emotional rock bottom. So again, moving with my another question, which I have in my stack. That is, how do I know if I am struggling with burnout? And I assume many people will ask the same question, that what are the symptoms to look out for?
So, first of all, I think that we ignore the signs of burnout. You know, some red flags that can be emotional disconnection. It might not be the direct fatigue, that you feel in your body or in your mind, or it can be cynicism. You are cynical about everything that is happening, and you're frequently irritated for no reason at all. Then there can be mental fog, when you're not able to make decisions, when you're not able to think about creative ideas, or lack of joy or motivation. You're doing things mechanically, you're not feeling it from the inside. Or it can be chronic procrastination, because you feel that it is too much. Even little tasks, they feel too much, so you feel that maybe I'll do it later. So those sorts of things can be few red flags.
Right. And it's important to understand that these aren't just mood swings, they are warning signals, and your inner system is asking for rest, not guilt.
That is so true. In fact, I think we don't even realize it. But studies say that burnout is actually linked with low productivity and high attrition in Indian workplaces. A working professional today probably starts dreading Monday as early as Friday. And even hobbies no longer bring that sense of joy or spark. This seems like a classic symptom of burnout. I have, I have a question. Are we ignoring these signs?
Yes, more than we should. We generally normalize being overworked, and we even glorify it. Sending emails at the night, 12 a.m., 12 a.m., 1 a.m. So that sort of thing is there.
Yeah, and we also label burnout as laziness or moodiness on top of it all. But that kind of denial only pushes us closer to chronic mental health issues.
Exactly. And I have seen in my own circle that I have found many people, in fact, sometimes I also glorify this hustle of 24 cross 7. And in fact, if I go with the data, 1 in 3 Indian professionally actually report feeling emotionally exhausted every day. Now, in fact, if we go with an example, I find that even teachers constantly pushing through fatigue, thinking it's just a part of the job. I think they are ignoring just burnout signs. So with this, I feel the question arises, that does burnout affect daily life and relationship?
Yes, it does. It seeps into everything. It is all pervading. Your routines, your decisions, your emotional availability. In the face of burnout, contributing to relationships might feel like another hassle. And when you only become a receiver in a relationship, it doesn't work smoothly for long, because the other person also starts feeling exhausted. They also want nurturing.
Yeah, and in the end, what happens is that relationships start to suffer because you're depleted, right? When your own cup is empty, giving becomes absolutely difficult, and relationships obviously cannot thrive on an imbalance.
In fact, burnout has actually been linked to a 23% higher chance of conflict in personal relationships. To be honest, that's really scary. A partner who's becoming emotionally distant, snapping often, avoiding connection, it's not coldness, it could be burnout. So I think it's important to understand, can we confuse burnout with some other issues?
Yes, we do. And like most often we do. We think it is anxiety, it is depression, or it is chronic fatigue, something related to physical health, and we keep going for diagnosis and taking vitamins or so, you know. But unlike any clinical condition, the good news is that it is reversible, with timely intervention. If you catch the red flags and take the intervention at the right time.
A great fact, Juhi, you just informed. And I think the people will be happy who are the listeners, that yes, early intervention in burnout can prevent it from escalating into full-blown depression, which I feel as a layman person, which I can understand. And this can help so many people, even as young and as well as a student. In fact, if I go by our own college days, we used to find that college student mistaking her loss of motivation and energy for laziness, and they can be he or she, though it's actually academic burnout. So if we can realize this, then we can help ourselves and overload and our loved ones from long drawn suffering. So adding to this, if Preeti, if I have a question for you, that what happens if we ignore burnout?
So, when burnout is ignored, it can lead to chronic burnout, and that can lead to serious conditions like anxiety disorders or a lowered immunity or even heart issues when it gets to that point. It's not something to wait out.
Absolutely, I totally agree. In fact, the most important thing that you can do is first accept it that this is happening and then voice it out. Maybe there are people who are going through the similar journey, who's going through the similar pain, and then you can maybe develop an insight when you discuss it with people who are in the same boat. And you also need to take time out for yourself, discussing it with people, taking time out for yourself, self care, doing something to calm your nerves on a regular basis. This is something which can help you before it gets out of your hand.
Correct.
In fact, WHO data also shows that burnout exponentially increases the risks of long-term health deterioration. Take the example of a corporate manager who's constantly suppressing stress and might end up getting hospitalized for panic attacks. So we are really helping our own selves by being proactive with respect to burnout. I have a question here. In today's extremely open social media centric world, does peer pressure also play a role in escalating burnout?
Yes, actually, a big one, like social comparison, whether it is Instagram or office, it makes us feel competitive, makes us feel um, that we are not doing enough, so we overextend ourselves and we don't realize until it's too late.
Right. Imagine looking at perfect lives, fat paychecks of your colleagues and peers, and trying to see whether you have attained your personal goals on a constant basis with a constant feedback from others and from online resources. So, peer pressure is indeed a big culprit in causing this kind of burnout.
Yeah, so if I add on to this, then means what the data which I have collected, it shows that 62% of Indian professional felt constant pressure to perform due to peer comparisons. And I have definitely been guilty of the same. So means we also are on the same boat. And in fact, if I go with an example, I have seen a new mom trying to balance parenting, work, fitness, social image, burning out under invisible expectations. So though it's a very nice interaction which we do have, and in last minutes, I feel that listeners will have a great time with this. But before ending, I will love that Preeti and Juhi, this has been a most insightful. So any final thoughts?
Yeah, I would like to say that burnout is not a breakdown, it can be a breakthrough waiting to happen, if you just pause and listen.
Yes, I'd like to add to that that healing begins when awareness meets action. If any part of today's podcast resonated with you, then please don't wait. Join us and refill your cup because you definitely deserve it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Preeti and Juhi. Just to add that Let's Talk is offering deep dive workshops where you can explore your own patterns, reconnect with your self worth, and recover in a safe and guided space. Do join us for our upcoming workshop on burnout. You can find more details in the caption for registration, or you can DM us directly for more details. Thank you all for joining us on this episode.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.